All right, guys, welcome back to the shack. Tonight, we've got a brand new laser from a brand new laser company. And tonight, we're going to be reviewing the Algolaser Alpha, which I'm sure the designation is because it is the first machine they have made. With this being their flagship machine and their first machine, I'm kind of curious how all in they went on adding the things that they know we like in lasers. So, we're going to get this thing out of the box and get everything going and try to get it put together. So I'm going to do a little voiceover on the unboxing because I don't want to bore you with that, guys, but it's packaged really well, and we'll get that started. All right, guys, as you can see, the packaging is put together pretty well. It had some manuals and stuff on top of that piece there, some material packs and that type of thing. All together, like I said, you got the safety glasses. These are your typical orange safety glasses. A little more robust and put together than some of the others I've seen, but you know, pretty much typical for the freebie glasses. Power supply, nothing special about that guy. Does take the PC cable like most machines do. You get a little toolbox here, comes with all the tools, the connectors for the rods and the screws to put the machine together, along with a set of keys. With this machine does have the keys and uses a USB-C connector to connect to your USB. So that's getting to where that's typical of most of the more modern machines. Some of the guys are still running with the old printer cable plugs, but USB-C seems to be taking over. As you can see here, most of the electronics are housed in the front of the chassis, and it also has the Wi-Fi antenna kind of tucked away underneath there and ran laterally with the frame rather than like protruding out so that it'll catch on something or has a stronger potential for getting broke. I think that was a good thought on their part. The module is pretty beefy, guys, and you'll see right here. This is the back chassis. It's very light the way they've constructed it, but it's because it's not out of a solid piece of metal. It's more out of a piece of molded sheet metal, but it's still very rigid. I think it'll be more than adequate for, you know, its intended purpose. The module, when you go get the module out of the box, I will tell you it's umbilical to the rest of the machine. And that's cool because they've ran most of the cabling for you and it has some really nice cable management. But you will possibly need to get an extra helping hand to kind of manipulate all these things. It can be you can feel a little clumsy trying to handle these three pieces with them tethered together with the cables. That was the only thing that I wish I had. Also, they had this new clamping lock, as you'll see right there that I just pointed out, that locks the module in place without the use of a thumb screw. And it's a lot more convenient. You'll see more of that as the video persists. As well as it does have limit switches. That's I would expect to find that on one of the higher end machines these days. There's a few machines out there that still don't use them, but for the most part, everybody's going to the limit switches. At least 2 for homing, even if you don't get the 4. Some machines go for 4. There's also going to be a connecting rod that connects this machine. It connects right there to the stepper, runs across the front of the machine to the other side. Basically everything's pretty simple. All the parts are mostly put together for you, and the assembly's not that difficult. So we're gonna get this box out of the way here and move over to assembly. All right, guys. So I got all the parts laid out here. When I first set them out, I kind of misinterpreted some of the characteristics of the frame, so I had to kind of scoot some things around, but I've got it laid out. I've kind of looked through the book just to make sure I've got a good grasp on where things are going to go. This is definitely a unique build. It has some different ways the screws go in, different angles, the material, the way the material is built, the tracks, the belt system. I mean, there's a lot of things about this machine that kind of stand out. And I will say, just seeing it already, guys, there's some things in here that I have griped about with other machines that they've fixed. The most noticeable one is that this Wi-Fi antenna is not protruding from the machine anywhere. They've mounted it in here sideways so that it's out of the way and not like sticking out just begging to get ripped off. So there's some other things about it that I've noticed, but we won't go over those just yet. I want to get this thing put together and see what it's made of. So let's get started on that, guys. The machine comes with this little neat toolbox right here. It's got the tools that you would need and all of the parts that you will need as far as the keys. Looks like this is going to be the module holder screw, or thumb screw that holds that on. You've got the 2 sleeves for the connecting rod and then a whole slew of screws in here. Now it looks like there's only 2 different size screws, which I like that. I like the fact that you don't have to try to determine which screw is what length. I mean, that's pretty neat. So it looks like we're going to only have 2 different types of screws. There's 2 screws of one size and then a whole bunch of them smaller ones. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and break the book out. I'm going to try to follow along with it just to kind of show you guys how they're saying doing it and to try to minimize the mistakes if possible. So they're showing step 1, and it's showing there's 21 steps to this process. Step 1 is we're going to take the front piece and connect the left piece to it, the left y-axis. So I'm going to take this guy here, and it more or less just kind of slides in there, and they've got this nifty little like bracket on the side over here by the power switches and everything. And that's another thing, guys. The power switches are on the side, not the front, not sticking straight up in the air. I'm really digging some of the innovations in this machine. I haven't even got around to looking to see what the work area of it is, but I can tell you I'm really enjoying some of these modifications where they have kind of veered from the norm and done things that so far appear to be improvements to me. So it's got these nice little cool red accents on the end as well. And I'm going to get these started with my screwdriver here. Probably end up breaking out the DeWalt in a second once I get them all started. But I don't want to get too carried away until I get them all started. There's a total of 3 screws, it appears, in this end. I'm not seeing any more places that there could be a screw, so I think we're good on that. So, got that one, got it on there. It's not tight yet, but I'm going to wait until I get kind of everything put together before I go to snugging it down, just in case I have to back up and redo. The second piece here is showing that the right axis goes here, and you can kind of see these little red brackets, guys. They just kind of slide up underneath the other piece. I mean, it's really kind of a simple design, but it looks like it would be very sturdy by the fact that it's got so many points of contact between those 2 pieces of metal. All right, so we got step 1 and step 2 mostly finished. I still got to tighten these down a little bit. But I'm going to go ahead and move forward. Step 3 is to put the back on it. And if the bolt pattern is the same, I'm going to need to have 6 screws of this size. And go around to the back. There's kind of a method to getting these on there, I will say that. You kind of got to lift up and twist under the back part because it almost like locks in. So you have to kind of take the back piece and kind of roll it underneath there. If not, it doesn't want to like fit together. It's almost like it's got a little slotted fasteners or something in there. All right. So this looks like it's going to be actually a rather simple build. The tensioners, I see that they have a unique setup on the tensioners. That's going to be a cool addition. So looks like that's the 4 parts of the main build that needs to be done. So I'm going to grab my DeWalt here and go ahead and run these guys down. It's just a lot quicker, a lot less twisting. I'm doing the outside ones first because the way that this machine's put together, it seems like those are going to be the screws that kind of ensure that it's square with the brackets. And then this one just kind of seems like it maybe just for security to add everything, kind of make everything a little more rigid. So there we go. Got that part all put together and cinched up. Everything looks good. It did pull itself tight and pull itself square when I tightened these, because the way that it's built, there's like a ledge in there that these pull up against. And that sure should make sure everything goes together square. So it's saying the next phase is going to be to flip it over, and we got some cables to connect. So I think this should be pretty self-explanatory, so I'm just going to lay the book to the side for the moment. And if I have trouble deciphering where a cable goes, then we can refer back to the manual in just a second. All of these cablings are put together, so you're going to have to kind of move everything at once, which it's not a bad thing, because that's just less stuff you got to do. So, yeah, the terminals here are color-coded and shaped in a manner to where you shouldn't be able to get those guys backwards, I don't think. Now there's a notch. Yeah, there's a notch in the fitting that this goes into that should prevent that from being put in wrong. And I'm going to kind of stand it up on its nose a little where I can see in there a little better. It'd probably be better if you had somebody to help hold the cables and stuff to bring them along maybe for this part of the operation. Okay. So yeah, there's notches in the plug to prevent it from being plugged in backwards. So pay attention to where those notches are on the yellow plug. And then the white one, of course, it's got a clip, and the clip needs to be facing the hole in the little part where the plug goes in. So those two are plugged up. Now I've got to plug in the stepper, typical stepper motor. It's got the little cutout where the two little guide pins go. Looks like the wire just kind of tucks behind these other wires here. And that's that. So that was relatively easy. So I'm going to turn this back around. Like I said, this would probably be easier if you had an extra set of hands. It wasn't quite as clumsy. So set that there. I think I would have actually liked to have put the gantry on before I did the cables. Just, yeah, I think I would have preferred to do that. Maybe they could reorder the steps, because I don't see where it would hurt to go ahead and bolt the gantry on before doing that step. Something to consider. Now it's saying assemble the X-axis and M4 × 12 screws. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and connect this guy. I know I'm probably skipping steps, guys, but it's kind of getting in the way. Trying to move the machine around, and I'm afraid I'm gonna break it. So we'll go ahead and put this guy in here. All right. So push the X-axis and hold. Connect the main cable to the main board. Oops, already did that, guys. See if I've already done that part. So this is all the way back. The main board is connected. So now the next thing that we need to do is put the air pipe through, assemble the motor extension shaft. So we're going to need a little shaft here. These two little guys. Go ahead and slide them on there. Try to make both of them face the same way so as not to confuse myself. All right. So the belt tensioners for the sides are back here in the back. So with this machine having the 2 pins on either side, there's going to be a method to this setup. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that these tensioners are loose. It's got like a little locking screw right here. All right. And then there is, that's what these 2 longer screws are for, guys. So you put the screw through there, and the tensioner is threaded. So you got to get that lined up. Which may prove to be a little bit of a struggle for me. Let me get that guy up where I can see in there. All right, so it definitely works better if you can look up in there and kind of line the hole up, then put the screw in and get it started. I would definitely recommend that method. All right, so let me pull the gantry all the way back before I tension the belt and make sure it's against both of the little stops on the back. It's going to hold some pressure on it while I tension these belts a little bit here. I think I like that for now. Tighten these little retention screws up on the side right here to make sure that the tension doesn't back off. And I think we're good on that. Still haven't figured out what the little thumb screw's for though, guys. And I'm not seeing it in any of the illustrations. Maybe this is a backup in case something else doesn't work. The focus lever, guys, I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. It is crazy easy. I spotted that a little while ago, and it is an awesome feature, but we're going to save that for the testing to show you how this thing focuses, because you're really going to like it. So, be back soon. All right, guys, so I got the machine put together, got everything connected. The only thing that really, with the wiring that you have to do is once you get everything the way you want it, you kind of got the cables twisted and kind of adjusted. These little metal brackets on here hold the wires really well, but I did go back with some of the provided Velcro and zip ties and just kind of secure that and clean it up, because you know I'm a real stickler about cable management. I like for things to look clean. And guys, I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there. Of all the machines that I've tested and all the machines that I've used so far, this one doesn't have all the bells and whistles. It does have the automatic air assist. It does not have the Z-axis. But guys, they've addressed every complaint I think I've ever had about lasers. As far as the way they work, some of the things that they do with how they position things and put things in places. They've addressed a lot of those issues with this Algolaser. And, you know, it has the speed. I've did a little bit of testing, and we'll do some more testing with the machine as I go. And I'm going to share some of it with you. But the machine has the speed of what I'm used to with the LM3. The rail system and the way they've got it's I don't want to necessarily say it's a linear rail, because it does have wheels that support it, but it's against a flat rail that it's just smooth, guys. The way it operates is smooth. The only thing that I have found with this machine is it does have a potential when it's going so fast, if you run the speeds too high, that on my slick table, it tries to slide around a little bit. Now, all right, guys, so now to the testing portion of the video. And just because I know that with the slick table and the fast movement of the machine, there's a possibility that it was sliding around earlier, I went ahead and taken measures to prevent that. And what I did is I went ahead and built myself a jig kit for this machine. And I've used the CA glue painter's tape approach to secure this jig to the table. And I just went ahead and kind of, you know, rednecked this one up a little bit and just used painter's tape on the outside so that I didn't have to go through all the trouble of aligning it. Now, ordinarily, if I had this in an enclosure, what I typically do is I put a couple of little small screws in my jig kit to try to hold the machine still inside the enclosure. So, but I didn't want to drill into the table, and so this was the approach that I came up with. And as you can see now, the machine will not move independent of the table. Now, I'm going to use one of the pieces that they send when they send this machine. They send a lot of different like test materials here. So we're going to play around with some of these. This is a little bit thicker piece of plywood here. I'll give you the measurements when we get there. We've got some thicker acrylic and, of course, a piece of basswood. And I'm going to play around with those, and we'll see how it does. As you can see, it moves really, really fast. But the good news is it cannot move independent of my work surface now, because I do have it secured using the jig to the table. And so we should eliminate that if that was the cause of the problem I was having yesterday. What was happening was the cuts from the cut test were actually over on the letters and numbers for the speed and power. And after playing with it for a few minutes, I realized that it looked as though the machine might be gradually moving during all that rapid movement. And so I started kind of holding it, physically restraining the machine, and the problem went away. But now that I've got the jig kit built for it, I've got it secured to the table, it can't move unless it moves the whole table. So that should have cured that problem. Yeah, guys, the smoke eater's really not making any substantial difference in this situation. But it's the thought that counts, right? I may just have to open the door and get hot. So there we go. I'm just gonna tap it. And just on the tap, guys, that's the cut. Like I said, I ran it twice because the first time I had this text going 200 millimeters a second, and it just wasn't quite marking this basswood. As you can see, securing the machine did keep the letters from getting cut out. This is pretty impressive, in my opinion. The air assist, the output nozzle is a little larger than what I normally like, but it appears they've got just enough air combination with the size of the hole that it is doing a really good job. You got some really, really light browning around the edges, but I need to also make sure that the air assist did cut on that layer because this is an older test before I had automatic air assist. All right, guys, so straight off of the laser, that was with no air assist. Like I said, my power setting for this basswood for the engraved speed was still a little high, too high for the text. But as you can see, with this material, I'm getting some good solid blacks all the way over to whites up to 300 millimeters a second. All right, so this is different material, guys. So what do we got to do? Focus. So I'm going to drop the lever to release the module. I'm going to push the pin down, lower it onto the material, lift the lever back up, and then push the button on the module, pulls the focus pin back up, and you're focused for the new material. So that I like. I really, really like that, Algo. So here we go. Engrave test. And you can hear, I'm going to stand right here over the machine. You can hear how not loud the machine is. So for you guys that are, a stickler about noise discipline, it is relatively quiet. And it moves really fast. Did I mention it moves really fast? So for shading, for photos and stuff, that would actually be a really good variety for, for getting those shades that you want. All right, guys, so I gotta say, all in all, I'm pretty impressed with the machine. It takes a lot of characteristics from a lot of different machines. and kind of combines them. And for a 20 watt, the speed, accuracy, the resolution, I mean, that's pretty impressive. This is basswood. This isn't like MDF or anything like that. This is basswood. This is the piece of wood that came with the machine. So it's probably, you know, there's probably better woods out there for images. And that may be something that I try to do here, you know, before too long, just to test the abilities of the machine. But I am really impressed with a lot of the different features, a lot of the things that you hear complaints from people about other machines, such as the key. You know, when you turn the machine on, you can't remove it. They fixed that on this one. The lens. Some people love the big lenses that cover most of the laser. Some people hate them. But with this machine, you have options. It's magnetic. Pop it off if you don't want it. Pop it back on if you see the need as you want it back on there. Air assist is automatic. But I did find out too, guys, during my testing, that even if you forget to turn the air assist on in the layer and light burn, using the little controller that has the buttons on it with the scale, you can actually go ahead and activate it without having to stop your engrave or start it over or anything like that. That was something I was curious about. And so while it was running one of the test burns, I reached down there and turned the air up on one of the engraved burns, and the air assist did come on, and I was able to control it and turn it up or down. So that's cool. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Everything that they've done, the cable management, the way it's constructed, the weight of it, the speed, the power, everything, if they had have made it just maybe 450 by 450 and, you know, maybe give it 10 more watts of power, I would say it was the perfect machine for any scenario. That's the only two improvements that I really see that I would make if this were my machine. Even if they just made the bed space bigger, because the traditional 400 by 400, I don't know why everybody's stuck on that. Me personally, I prefer a little larger work area. That's why right now my 8er and the longer, you know, those are the biggest bed machines that I have in the shop today. Those are the ones that I use because it gives me more options. I've got customers right now wanting 24-inch circles, 16-inch circles. You can't do those on certain machines. So if I had to nitpick the machine, that would be my biggest complaint, would be more work area. Of course, I'm sure they'll come out with a 30 watt model of this, or maybe even a 40, who knows. But I would really like to see the frame extended just a little. Like I said, just give me a little more than everybody else gives. Now, it is still a very decent work area. I'm using the 500 by 500 honeycomb, and the work area is taking up, you know, enough of that to where it's definitely a sizable work area for most projects. But for what I do, I like bigger. You know, I like bigger work areas. But guys, that's really the only critiques I have of it. The air assist works as it should. It's automatic, works great. Cable management is off the chain. Assembly was simple. One size screw basically put the whole machine together, and then the other 2 screws were for tensioners. I mean, not a whole lot of you know, figuring out things there. You will have to orient the pieces, make sure you got them oriented right, put them together. But I mean, it's simple assembly. Most of the cabling is ran for you. You have to plug in a few plugs. You know, you don't even have to put the zip ties with Velcro on there. I did because they sent it with it, and I just wanted a little tighter cable management. So altogether, guys, that's the only 2 things that I see there's really even room for improvement on, is the bed size, and I'd like to see this thing in a 30. I would love to see this thing in a 30. Okay, I'll go, if you will make this thing 450 by 450 with a 30 watt head, that thing would be king. I'm just going to throw that out there. I like the machine. I like the smoothness of it so far. One of the biggest things that catches my eyes is the fact that they're addressing the issues that all of us, you know, when I review a machine and the cables are sticking straight up, okay, I always make it a point to say, can't we do something better with that? And it's like they've been watching my videos, Ventari's videos, and every other person that reviews these things videos, and keeping notes on the things that we don't like, and they addressed them. That is cool. The focusing mechanism, first time I've ever seen this design used, where it pushes down and retracts straight back up into the module with the push of a button. That is pretty neat. I will tell you, the button's you have to kind of push on it a little hard. That may loosen up with use, but the lever to lock and unlock the The module, genius, okay? Everybody else is using those little tiny screws. It's hard to get to, and you got to twist them and twist them. This thing, you flip it down, it releases it, you flip it back up, it holds it. The engineering and the thinking outside the box that went into this machine is probably what impresses me the most, is that they've addressed those issues. So I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like I said, other than the bed size, I really don't see a whole lot of other things that I would have done differently had I built the machine. So I think that speaks volumes, because usually I can pick them apart pretty good. Even some of the machines that I love, I can pick them apart. Like I said, this company has just kind of come from nowhere. I'm very well pleased. As long as it performs long term as well as it has today, I think it's a really good machine. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. Like I said, this is my preliminary review. Once I've used the machine a little more, I'll go back and probably do some more videos with it. I do have my jig kit built for it, so I'm going to try to maybe work it in the rotation on the bamboo cutting boards and just run a few through it and see how it does. I suspect it's going to do really well. But that's the kind of stuff I like to do once I get the machine in here. But I kind of like to let you guys see my first impressions, like the first few days of having the machine, because literally I put this thing together. I got it up, tested it a little bit last night, and then come out today to wrap up the video and do the final testing. So this is just the first 2 days, but I'll check back with you in a week or so and let you know how it's going. All right, guys, as always, I appreciate the support for the channel. Things have been moving really quick lately. Machines are coming in. I'm trying to back that down just a little, but guys, they keep coming out with these awesome machines that have awesome upgrades, and I like getting hands on them and being able to see what's going on with them. So I'm going to try to get back to doing some projects this week. I've got some work backed up. I've even got another machine that come off the truck today that I've got to put together and do some testing with. But if you hadn't already, guys, hit that subscribe button. I try to stay relevant with what's coming out, what machines are on the market, and try to give you guys honest reviews, honest input on what I believe is good or bad about the machines. And if you hadn't already, go hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications. And also head over to my friend Steve's shop over at Ventari's Workshop and give him a like. And if you haven't already subscribed to his channel, we do a lot of tandem, like we discuss things with each other back and forth on the machines, how we can improve it, things that he sees, things that I see. And so it kind of helps fact check us, because I don't ever want to give a company a bad shake because I got a one-off, maybe a bad machine. But if I get the same problems that Steve have, that kind of validates that complaint so that I can pass it along to you guys, knowing that it is a valid complaint and it wasn't just a bad machine that I got my hands on. So go check out Steve's channel and give him a subscribe over there. And until next time, guys, be safe and have a good day.